This sounds really stupid, but what you need to be able to do with strumming is you need to be able to count. We're going to just have a quick look at time signatures. If you want to know time signatures, this is the way you want to look at time signatures. This is the most common time signature. This is 4/4. It looks like a fraction. You'll find this at the beginning of a piece of music. The easiest way to look at it is, this is how many beats in a bar, so how many beats, and this bottom is what kind of beat. What we're going to think about is that this says that it's in a bar, and the way I think of a bar is like this. I've got 4 bars there. These are the bar lines. They're like little fences that hold your notes in. And if you imagine the notes that you put in there, they're like sheep. And you've got to keep them in their little enclosures. You could even think of them as containers. And that's essentially what they are. So that's a container. And that will only fit so many notes. A bar or a measure. There's 4 measures here. And the whole thing there would be called a system. If this was 4/4... then what that's doing is it's telling us that there is 4 of something that can go in there, from there to there, but we don't know what kind it is until we know what the 4 is here. And the Fantastic 4 here, this is the one that we use most in pop and rock. Now, I'm going to draw out these shapes first, and I've got a strange way of looking at these. The main one that we have is this symbol here. It looks like a cake. Imagine it's a white cake, okay? There's 2 ways of understanding these notes, UK and there's a US. The UK one is a bit more traditional music theory sort of way of looking at it, whereas the US, that comes from sort of jazz thinking, specifically drum thinking. So this is my preferred one, actually, because drummers talk in those terms. So we look at this one here, and this one in UK is called a semi-breve. In US, it's called a whole note, because it lasts the whole of the bar. This is how long it lasts. And it lasts for how many beats? Well, it lasts for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4 beats to the bar. Now, what's happened is this one's taken up the whole of the bar. So that's the duration. Now, what we want to do, and I always put this little thing here, and I put this little accent over there just to make it visual. That's when you hit the note. That would be when you pluck it, okay? Now, if we take that, remember, I've described this before with cake, because I like cake. So if we take that cake, well, we can't eat the cake if we haven't got a knife. So let's put the knife there. And when we put the knife there next to it, that gives us this symbol. This is why I don't like the UK ones, because they're not really descriptive. You see that one, whole note? You see it lasts the whole bar. But this one, yeah, semi-breve, doesn't tell you. Right, so minim. Say minim twice. Minim, minim. Do, 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 do. You can think of that for a whole bar. Minim, minim. That fills a bar. I'm sorry. I have to apologise. It's terrible. But the thing is, minim doesn't tell you how long the note lasts. Doesn't at all. So I have to strike home with this idea that the UK way of doing it isn't that good. And I have to admit that the US way is superior in this matter. Yes, I am saying that. So here, what we get is a half note. And that would make sense because we've got this knife, and what it's done is it's cut this cake in half. Now, remember, this is a white cake, but what you don't realise is this cake here is on a plate. It's on a black plate. It's in a fancy restaurant with one of those fancy slate black plates. So what we do is we take the minim, or the half note. Everybody's had the cake's gone now, but the knife's there, and we've got this bit. So we end up with this symbol here. Now, this one, it's that thing that old ladies do in nursing homes. They do that, don't they? You get some wool and then you get one stick thing and then you make some stuff with it, yeah? Or is it that game that you hit balls through hoops on your lawn with? You see, it doesn't tell you what it is, and this is why I like the US system. This is far superior. We can see that we get 2 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. We had that there, look. So, duration of that lasts for 2. Duration of that lasts for 2. Now that means crotchet here. Now this is where it comes into 1, 2, 3, 4. This crotchet, we're going to call it quarter note. Becomes a quarter note. Okay, if we get into that, semi is half of a breve. We don't use breves anymore, really. We just tie the notes over. That's old school, which is why a whole note makes way much more sense there. Right, so we've got quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. That tells you when you hit them. Now, the cool thing about this is that is quarter notes, and that's what stands for 4. 1 semi-breve fills the bar. With this, 2 minims, or half notes, fill the bar. And with this one, 4 quarter notes or crotchets fill the bar. So we can associate a number with it as well. I'm going to get into one more division. There's the empty plate. There's the knife. And to show that we've finished for today's example, what we're going to do is we're going to put our serviette, we're just going to rest it there on top of the knife. And we've got this flag on the stem there. So we put that on there. Now, this one's called a quaver. This is kind of a misnomer because in the UK, quavers, they're a cheesy snack. They're a potato crisp. So look, here we can see we've got whole. Well, we cut it in half, got a quarter note. So guess what we're going to get now? We're going to get an 1/8 note, which means we get more notes in here. But just to make sure that we understand how this works, if I've got 2 quavers next to each other, or 1/8 notes next to each other, we need to be able to understand how these notes beam. And the way I think about it is when you've got 2 1/8 notes next to each other, the ends of these here, they're magnetic and they attract each other and they want to snap together. So that snaps together like that. So that is equal to that. 2 1/8 notes is the same as a quarter note. 1/8 notes, quarter notes. So we could do the same thing here. I should mention this as well. Let me just introduce this idea because I think this is important. There is something called the binary pulse. What happens with the binary pulse is we get 2 beats. And we go bum, bum. We go strong, weak, bum, 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 bum. Now this binary pulse, it lives best on 4/4. Generally, it sits on 1 and 3. Well, there is no 3 on this note, so we put it on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I'm going like this, and this is flat, this is the job of the binary pulse. It tells you where the 1 is. And if you don't know where the 1 is, you are lost rhythmically. So you always need to know where the 1 is. So if I'm doing this, we've no idea where the 1 is because it's just even. And the binary pulse, what it does is it puts accents on beats 1 and 3 when we're in 4/4. So we go like this. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even have to count. And you know where it is. You can hear where the 1 is. 1, 2, 3, 4. But if I flatten it out with no accents, where's the 1? It's easy to get lost. When you get lost, that might be where that chord change happens. You get that chord change wrong, you flummox, your world falls apart. You think to yourself, ah! But 1, 2, 3, 4. So the binary pulse is super important to know. But what we're going to do is we need to translate this as well with the binary pulse. This is super, super important. We've got these. Now, when we get more than 2 like this, we group them in 4 like this. So essentially, that there is the same as the half note. Look, that's equal to the half note. Those are the same amount of time that they take up. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in here. And then what we do is if we put 1, 2, 3, 4 in the spots that they were normally, this is associated with 8. 1, 2, 4, 8 there. So let's do this again. 1, and I'm going to put that on the 3. But we need a way to be able to say it. So what we do is we do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You could do it with an ampersand, but those are a bit harder to write. It's not plus, that's and. We just still count it as an and. These are the 4 basic values that you need to know. I'm going to come back to the time signature thing again and just give you an idea of how these all work out on here as well. So we already could see that 4/4 essentially in a bar goes like that. That's our model. And we know that the accent is on 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I say, this is pop and rock. And let me just put this in guitarist context. If you get any of the guitar magazines, you may even see things written like this. This is called rhythm slashers. They take the note head and they flatten it out and they put it like this. Have you ever seen that? Where it goes like that. That's exactly the same thing. So let's look at that. So that's rhythm slashers. And you'll find in a lot of the tab stuff that you get out there that you will see that this is included as well. Now, let's look at this one. 3, 4. This is critical because the difference between this and counting 6, 8. A lot of people get stuck with counting something like 6, 8. We look at this. This is 1, 2, 3. We can see at the top, we've got 3. Remember, top is how many, bottom is what kind of beat, okay? So this, 3 notes, and they are quarter notes. Now, that might sound a bit weird because, you know, it doesn't divide by a quarter, but that's the way we look at it. And we put the binary pulse in strength going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It is the waltz. There's another one that we can do here. 2, 4, because this is using quarter notes. 4 quarter notes, 3 quarter notes. Now this one's using 2 quarter notes. Strong, weak, strong, weak. We've got 2 of them. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now this is something you do if you are in the army. It's called the march. It's your left leg, your right leg, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Now, just because I mentioned it, 6, 8. Now, 6, 8 is telling us there's 6 notes and they are 8th notes, 6 8th notes, and that's going to look like this. And the way we count this is, I know when we did the 8th notes, we had the ands, but this is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about the feel of the pulse. If you think about it, 3, 4. If you double the 3, and you double the 4, then you get 6 and 8. And that's where people get it all wrong. But here's the thing. It's about placement of the binary pulse. So if we put that on 1 and 4, what happens is we get this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the difference between 3, 4 and 6, 8. Now, the thing is, 6, 8 is more like this sort of feel of spoken word. Now, that's a bit of an odd one, is that one. It's very much more of a folky thing. Yeah, so think of this as being sort of more folk. What I wanted to say as well, going back here, although we have this container in here, there's like a divider in between, an invisible bar line that exists in between 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's this invisible line. And that invisible line helps us to put these binary pulse in their natural way of falling. And that happens here in this 6, 8 as well. Doesn't happen in the waltz. That's a different set of rules, but it happens there. And it happens in that 2, 4. Because it can't happen on this beat here. It would split the note in half and then we're into a different territory. But I'm going to do this because we're getting into something called a compound time here. Just want to get into this 9, 8 business. We do this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What's interesting about this one is, well, where do you put the binary pulse? Well, for me, it's always good to have it strong on 1. But we can switch it around. We could have it on 4 or we could have it on 7 because this bar has 2 divisions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now listen to the feel of this. If I put the emphasis for the second part of that pulse, the weaker part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It gives me a different feel. Now this one is jigs and reels. So that's definitely more sort of Irish folk music. Okay, I'll do the 5/4 just for sake of the binary pulse explanation. If I put 5/4 in here, well, we know that it's got 5 beats and those beats are quarter notes. So let's just put those in there, 5 quarter notes. We can experience this in 2 ways. So I'm going to write it out again. This is the way I think of the 5/4, and that invisible division, we split the 5/4 into 2 groups, and this is the easiest way to place that binary pulse. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or we can reverse it and we can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. We can even count it in that way as well. If you wanted to, sometimes that's an easier way to do it. Instead of doing it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's the way I see it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I just think that's a wonky beat. So the pulse equals the beat emphasis. And I think doing this stuff, 5/4, it's a little bit tricky with guitar. We're going to get into why that is tricky in a minute because I'm going to talk about something that's called the scratch chord. And this is what you need to practice. So I'm going to play the binary pulse in 4/4, but I'm going to do it in 8th notes. This is the beauty of the scratch chord, because you don't have to play any chords at all. Here's what we do. Put your hand over the top of the strings like this. It doesn't need to do anything, because the focus becomes all about this hand here. This hand here is your strumming engine. This is the down-up engine. Now, strumming guitar is easy once you get this. I think of it as being a lot like a car engine. If some of the cylinders aren't firing correctly, then it judders. And it's really hard for you to know if your car's going to stall on you. So this is a scratch chord. This is the sound we're using. Now, the reason I like this is because when we think about things, it takes up a lot of mental processing. If we are processing what the chord sounds like, whether your fingers are on right, whether they hurt, all this other stuff that's going on, it's extra that you don't need to think about. What we want to do is just focus on this. So this is an absolutely brilliant exercise for getting the strum down, because this is all about that engine. Now, I'll show you which one I'm going to do. This is why this solid line, you see this solid line up here, that's important, because that's telling me when I hit it. And when I hit that, I'm going to hit that on a down. I'll put another bar together here. So we've got this bar here. This note is going to last the duration of that bar, but we only hit it on that. Now, I'll show you something that we get. This is something that just annoys the pants out of me. So we get that symbol and that symbol there in the books for down and up. D for down, U for up. Makes a lot more sense to me than this. This business here, this actually comes from the bowing instruction. That would be the tip of your bow, that would be the heel of your bow. So this would be for violin. We're not Jimmy Page, we're not using a bow, we're using a pick. So when it comes to playing, this is going to be just down. And I would highly recommend using a metronome. A metronome keeps you honest. If you struggle with the metronome, there's a particular YouTube channel called Lumbeat, Lumbeat. I use his drum tracks all the time to jam along to. Absolutely wonderful practice tool. So I heartily recommend checking the channel out there. So what we're doing here, this is the engine. Look, it's just going down and up. Now, the way we want to hit the strings, we want to hit them at an angle. This is like a piece of bread. Imagine this is a piece of bread. This is your butter knife. And when you're buttering, the pick goes down like that. You know how hard it is to butter bread as it is. You wouldn't try and butter it by going down like that with the knife at the wrong angle. Yeah, so you go like that way. Now look, this means that I get this rotation. See my wrist? It's rotating, keeping it very, very loose. Okay. This is that scratch chord. You can put it where you want. Yeah. Just watch over the harmonics. The pick goes down in that angle because we're reducing the friction. Imagine you've got slippy socks on and you go down the stairs. One step at a time. Bum, 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 bum. And then you land on your backside at the bottom. Going up them. That's defying gravity. This is the excursion of the pick. Now, when you're looking at this, the excursion stops about there. Coming up, stops about there. But look at that smoothness, looseness in the wrist. That's what you want. You want that smooth looseness there. And you can just practice doing it this way. And I find if you want to do it and you like the sound of a chord, the most forgiving chord when you are strumming is an E minor chord. So we've got two fingers on here. I'm going to just use a downstroke on the one, and because I know where that pulse is, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't have to do a chord. You can do 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Let me show you these divisions and how they work. Now, remember we put the knife on the cake there to show that we've cut it in half, and that's what we're going to do. We've got this invisible division here. I'm going to put that there, put that there. There is our binary pulse. But now what we've introduced is another downstroke. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 is a little bit heavier. I'll be really, really obvious with this. I'll do it extremely light on the 3, yeah? So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the thing that's going on is the upstroke is happening naturally. Let's get to the next division. So we take that note, we've eaten the cake. There's the black plate there with the knife next to it. Everybody's had a piece of cake. And then what we get here is down, 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 down. A good tempo is around 70 beats per minute. It's a great tempo just to warm up with. Listen to the pulse. I'm going to count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can hear where 1 is because of that accenting, the binary pulse. Can you hear that? It's important. So you need to get this so it's just muscle memory. You don't need to think about it. Now, while I was doing those 4 downstrokes, there is a missed upstroke. So it's down, miss, down, miss, down, miss, down, miss. So we're going to use the missed upstroke. And this is where it comes in to learning this one here. So remember we had 1 and 2 and, let's put it in here, 3 and 4 and. And then that means we get down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Still thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can still think that. Or we can think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we can count that there. So do it as a scratch chord again. Listen for the pulse. Put the pulse in there. Hopefully this makes sense. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We've got them all in there now. Now if we put that E minor chord on it, this is why most people's strumming is unsatisfactory, is because they don't put the pulse in. And I'll show you what I mean. Here's the E minor chord. We just put this easy chord on. And we're just going to do it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. No binary pulse. It sounds flat, but if we put the pulse in, it breathes life into it because the pulse is life. So 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Sometimes you have to say it as you play it. Yeah, say it as you play it. You know I say that. Repeat it to defeat it. Say it as you play it. If you have to go, my brain's not working, let's do it. Let's just say it. Down, up, 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 down, up. You could do it with a scratch chord as well. If you feel that doing the chord is too much, then just take the chord out of the equation so you don't have to think about it, you don't have to process it, you don't have to judge yourself whether you're performing correctly and then introducing self-doubt and all that stuff that undermines you and makes you put your guitar down and not practice. You remember the last bad practice you had and it makes you think, oh, can I be bothered? It's important. You've got to be kind to yourself with this stuff. Right, okay, so that's great. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you do find that there's too much resistance, change your picks. I saw a wonderful video the other day with Brian Sutton in it, a bluegrass player, absolutely fantastic player. He was talking about how his picks are his EQ for playing acoustic. Look at that. Look at the resistance on that one. Whereas these, and I mentioned these before, Jim Dunlop 0.38. Look at these. These are wafer thin. Look at that. They bend really easy. Oh. Now, if you can get away with it with a heavier pick, that's okay. But sometimes this might be what you want. These are great for late night practice because these reduce the volume. Listen to how much less volume there is with this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the pick's doing all the flexing. I don't have to focus so much on rotating. Now that is pretty cool. But what we want to do is we want to introduce this idea. Page 51, lesson 45. The way I think about it is if we split the strings, we split this into the kick drum, the big bass drum, the snare, and the hi-hats. It can be a bit ambiguous with this. You can be a little bit loose. You can have a few more strings in there. You can have 3 strings, but definitely keeping the E and the A string as the kick drum. So what I can do is I can keep the kick drum on 1 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm essentially dividing my strum. So now it's not just all 6 strings. I'm playing more 2 string sets. Now I'll play it flat without the binary pulse on that E minor again, with the binary pulse, all 6 strings, and then I'll split it so you can hear the difference. So here, this is flat. I've got to go like a robot. I've got to remove the pulse. Oh. Nothing. Put the pulse in. See, I've already gone to the drum strum, yeah? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That's splitting it. You can hear the split, definitely. Now, a little trick just to test the integrity of your chords going on when you apply your chords. What you can do is you can do a thing called vamping. I think the term vamping came from harmonica because you can suck and you can blow on a harmonica. Yeah, you can get notes if you suck in and then you can get them if you blow out. We call them gob irons. So what we're going to do is to get the vamp, I take my fingers off. This is why the E minor is the most forgiving chord, because this is the closest thing to an E minor chord. It's like an E minor 11 chord. And it sounds awful, just like that. So do this. Now it starts to sound like music. Watch this. So if I split it, just practicing doing that. Because what it sounds like to me is, it's almost like the chord is taking a breath. Yeah, so it goes. And if you do it on the and of 4, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it puts more emphasis back on the 1. So you really know where the 1 is. 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah? So vamping is a really nice technique. But what it does is it checks whether your fingers are going to go back in the place that they should do. Test the integrity, because you don't want to go... You don't want to do that. You want to go... Yes? I've got a really old lesson on my channel about that one. And this is the thing. Look at the engine. The strum doesn't stop. The engine is going. We have to have this down-up engine going all the time. The reason why is chords are like the gears. This is why I think of it as an engine. If you change a chord, yes. Now this is good because it develops a little bit of finger independence there. This is horse with no name. And then you start getting really kind of frivolous and fruity with your strums because you go, yeah, you go kick, snare and hi-hats all at the same time and put some welly into it. And like I say, if that is all a little bit too much for you, you just slim your pick down. Yes? Okay, now this is the secret. The secret to changing chords is the magic and. Because what happens is the importance is placed on the beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are important. The ands are less important. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It's about the weakest one, the weakest notes. The weakest notes are on the and of 2 and the and of 4, especially on the and of 4. And this is what I call the magic and. Now what you can do is you can control time. This is going to sound weird. We can operate in slow motion. Yeah, that was me pretending to do slow motion. Wasn't real slow motion. There was no fancy effects there. No CGI. No AI required for that. Let me look at this E minor to a G. That's my change. It's a G5 really. We're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All the action happens on the and. That's when the chord changes. This is the secret, guys. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It's all so that you can land on an important beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now we can go slow motion, take the 4 and 1 and just focus on that bit alone as an exercise. If you're struggling with the chord change, this is how you do it. You go 4 and 1. You slow the engine down, you slow the chord change down, you bend time, make things go 4 and 1. You can reverse it as well and go 4 and 1 to change back. 4 and 1. You could even make that into a strum as an exercise. 4 and 1. 4 and 1. 4 and 1. 4 and 1. Okay. This is all part of that thing that I allude to every now and then called clockwork chords. So this is part of that rhythm system. And if you can get this going, all your chords will come into play. Can you hear that? Because the thing is, when we do that and, we're doing a vamp on it. The vamp. And it's basically sounding an E minor-y sounding chord with a bit of extra gubbins on it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. See this time that I take in between that? 4 and 1. 4 and 1. Yeah?